Today, we're going to skirt the RV. This will be my first time ever skirting the RV because it is finally in a permanent place. We live in the mountains of West Virginia, and this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. With that being said, it is the end of August, and it is already cold in the mornings and at night. So being out here, our summers are a lot shorter. And I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to go ahead and skirt it. Why? Because it's not as windy right now and the leaves haven't fallen. I don't have to deal with cleaning out underneath the RV yet, since it just got here not that long ago. So without further ado, let's get to it. So what is the purpose of skirting? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, when cold air blows underneath these RVs, you risk your pipes freezing and you lose a lot of energy. Skirting prevents that, and it also helps keep the critters out. So with that being said, let's go to Lowe's and go over our supplies. So I saw that Lowe's was selling these 1.5-inch foam boards for $11, so I had to pick up 10 of them. Then I had some all-weather duct tape. This stuff worked great until I ran out. So instead of hauling a bunch of cinder blocks back, I'm gonna try out these anchoring spikes. See how they hold the foam boards in place. First, I gotta find my cart. Oh, there it is. And this was my grand total. Now to start this project off, you're gonna have to measure. And to be honest, this was my least favorite part. It was very tedious and time consuming. But if you want to save money, this is part of the struggle. Now, if you look online at the skirting options, it's going to range from $1,000 to $2,000 depending on your rig. And I didn't feel like spending that, so I sacrificed my time for money. Yes, I had to change hats. I was getting too sweaty in the other one. So this is a lot more tedious than I thought. But hey, it's part of the process. It's the little obstructions that make it kind of tedious, like the lights and having to remeasure the uneven ground. It's not ideal. Now, I went through a lot of tape because I ended up taping all sides of the board. You don't have to do this, but to me, it just looks better. All right, I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little frustrated. I've destroyed so many boards just because of measuring and the ground is so uneven. Like, for example, this area right here lines up perfect up until you get towards the front. So then you're short by like 2 inches. So yeah, that's the difficult part to this. So width about 31 inches. Ran out of tape, so now I gotta run to the general hardware supply store. This is throwing off the flow. All right, so the other side is done. Now, I saved the hardest for last because this side is where I'm gonna have to finagle some stuff. So it is halfway through the day. I started around 7 a.m. It is 3 p.m. and this is how far I've gotten. I'm at a little bit of a roadblock because I'm trying to think if I want to keep the insulation inside versus outside. I think I'm gonna go with doing it inside underneath the slide, but then again, I'm losing heat underneath this slide out, so the slide needs to be covered. So I have to figure out how I want to go about closing everything in and still having access to this when we dump. So here we go. This video is not sponsored, but I just want to say this aluminum foil tape, I highly don't recommend it. I hate this stuff. It's cut me, it's a pain to clean up, not ideal. So I think now's a good stopping point. I ran out of board, so I got that side left in the front. So I got to run the lows again. But all in all, I'm about 80% finished. It is 6 o'clock in the afternoon. This was work. So maybe I can knock it out tomorrow or another day. I don't know, but at least I got most of it done. Okay, so now that I got more boards, it's time to finish. All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember to leave some glory holes for your stinky slinky. These slinkies are clearly growers, not showers. Anyways, yeah, go ahead and make sure you leave some space for your stinky slinkies and or whatever sewer connection you have. This was probably like one of the most complicated parts to this whole project. I was trying to figure out how am I going to go about this, and I think we figured it out. We're about 80% done. You're going to ruin a lot of boards if you don't visually mark which way you want to cut. So now I got in this habit of writing my length and width because I was getting confused just eyeballing it after I measured. So make sure you do that. Sometimes I can have some slow moments, and yeah, this kind of helps. So I'm all done skirting all the way around the RV. Now the next step I'm about to do is completely optional. You don't have to do it. You could call it a day right here. But me, I'm going to paint this black. I just think it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So here we go. And this is the final result. It only took 1.5 cans of paint, which I probably could have got away with 1 can of paint if I didn't spill it. But yeah, this is how we prepare for winter. Hope you all enjoyed the video.